And get started. I see I have one people or one person viewing, so I have a lot of viewers on the podcast. I know it's a tough time, 11 in the morning on Saturday, but that's pretty much the only window I have today. I got a full day going on, but let's go ahead and jump into it. We don't have a ton of time to waste, so starting off with the stat leaders, team leaders, league leaders in offense. Carolina Panthers are number one. Houston Texans number two. Jaguars number three, Minnesota Vikings are number four, Oakland Raiders number five. Top passing teams in the league: number one Carolina Panthers, number two Jacksonville Jaguars, number three Houston Texans, number four Cincinnati Bengals, number five Arizona Cardinals. Top rushing teams in the league: number one Minnesota Vikings, number two Oakland Raiders, number three Houston Texans, number four San Francisco 49ers, number five Toronto Huskies. Defensively, top defense in the league: Portland Lumberjacks, former New England Patriots. Number two are the Carolina Panthers. Number three are the Oakland Raiders. Number four are Houston Texans. And number five, Jacksonville Jaguars. Top passing teams defensively in the league. Pass defenses: number one, Portland Lumberjacks. Number two, Oakland Raiders. Number three, Carolina Panthers. Number four, Jacksonville Jaguars. And number five, those Dallas Cowboys. Top rush defenses in the league: number one, Portland Lumberjacks. Number two, Carolina Panthers. Number three, Baltimore Ravens. Number four, St. Louis Rams. And number five, this week, the Toronto Huskies. So those are your top teams statistically in the league. Looking at top players in the league, statistically, top passing leaders. Number one, three-time MVP Cam Newton, Carolina Panthers. Number two, Case McCain, former Carolina Panther, now Houston Texan. Number three, Rylan Mason of the St. Louis Rams. Number four, former Panther Evan Mason of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number five, Rashawn Kitchens of the Cleveland Browns. Top rushers in the league: number one, Carlos Williams for the Toronto Huskies. Number two, Trey Mason with the Minnesota Vikings. Number three, John Scott with the Oakland Raiders. Number four, Latavius Murray of the Baltimore Ravens. And number five, Devontae Freeman of the St. Louis Rams. Top receivers in the league. Now, this is a hell of a race, man. Number one right now is Mike Evans of the 49ers. 1 yard behind him at number two, Philip Dorsett of the Indianapolis Colts. Less than 50 yards behind him is number three, Malcolm Kenny of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So those top three guys are really fighting it out to see who's going to be the top leading receiver in yardage in the league. Number four, Brashad Perriman with the Portland Lumberjacks. And number five, soon to be Rookie of the Year, Kenbrell Sprain of the Carolina Panthers. Top defenders in the league, and like I always say, these defensive stats are skewed by sim games because you know how CPU is. Number one, Christian Jones of the Black Knights. Number two, Kamal Ishmael of the Black Knights. Number three, Ryan Shazier of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and these are league leaders in tackles. I'm sorry. Number four, Demario Davis with the Cincinnati Bengals, and number five, Raphael Bush with the Black Knights. Sacks: number one, Garrison Wade of the Cincinnati Bengals. Number two, Santiago Knight of the New York Giants. Number three, Malcolm Smith of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number four, Khalil Mack of the St. Louis Rams. Number five, Tamba Hali of the Atlanta Falcons. League leaders in interceptions: number one, Christian Kirksey, the Cleveland Browns. Number two, Harrison Smith, San Francisco 49ers. Number three, Eric Ryan. He's also going to be a Rookie of the Year, San Francisco 49ers. Number four, Casey Hayward, Green Bay Packers. And number five, Brandon Marshall of the New York Jets. So let's take a look at some top rookies in the league. Top rookie quarterback, Seth Thompson of the Los Angeles Dragons. Top rookie rusher, LaMarcus Gibbons of the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go with top five receivers because we got some good rookie receivers. Number one, Kenbrell Spain, Carolina Panthers. On his heels, number two, Joey Houston of the Houston Texans. Number three, Trevante Mason, Cincinnati Bengals. Number four, E.J. Dean of the London Bulldogs. And number five, Marvin Graham of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. I'll do the top two leaders, rookie defense. Top leading tacklers: E.J. Talbot, Pittsburgh Steelers; Eric Ryan, San Francisco 49ers. Rookie leaders in sacks: Garrison Wade, Cincinnati Bengals; Patrick Griffin, Arizona Cardinals. Rookies in interceptions: Eric Ryan, San Francisco 49ers; Melvin Lane, Houston Texans; Jarvis Mason, Toronto Huskies. Now, let's get into what everybody has been talking and debating about lately. Standings, playoff look. Alright, so get your notepads out because this is going to be interesting. Alright, so we always start with the AFC. Let's start the NFC. We'll start the NFC this week. Alright, so that crazy NFC East. I think now effectively it's a two-team race. We got the New York Giants at 8-6 right now, half a game up on the Toronto Huskies at 8-7. The Cowboys have all but conceded at 7-7 in their division record at 1-4. They have pretty much said that we're not going to the playoffs and kind of given up this year. Redskins, they were there early on, but they have this terrible 7-game losing streak that's killed them. So they're sitting there at 4-10 out of it. So you look at the Giants and the Huskies. The Giants have yet to play their game this week. The Giants are playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's playing a spoiler role. And they're capable of pulling an upset, although the last time these guys met, the Giants handed them a pretty big loss. So Tampa Bay has motivation here. Huskies won last night over the Saints. That was a very big win, as the Saints are also deep in playoff contention. One thing we're going to do right now is something that we've never done. Daddy Leagues gives you a preview of what a game is going to look like. And right now, Daddy Leagues is predicting that the Giants defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-21. Close game, less than one score. So that's a game that, Daddy Leagues is saying Tampa Bay has a shot in. Do I think so? Yeah, it's possible. I've seen Tampa twice this year. I've played both teams. Tampa played me tough for a half the first game. The Giants probably gave me my toughest game outside of my loss. And even then, I think that game was tougher, honestly, than the game that I lost. The game that I lost, I just stalled out in the red zone way too many times. But let's take a look at the tiebreakers here between the Giants and the Huskies. We do know the Huskies went into New York and beat them a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to see if they've played one other time this year, because that's a big factor if this thing ends in a tie. And of course, my computer's being a little slow. Alright, so they split. They split on the season series now. Isn't that great? That makes it even more difficult. But here's an interesting factor. The Giants have the Bucs this week, and then they have the Houston Texans next week. The Texans are probably the second best team overall in the league. They're 13-1 right now. So that's not going to be an easy game for them by any stretch of the imagination. But the Huskies are going out of town. Now, will they be able to play their last game is a big question. So if this thing ends in a tie, it's going to come down to division records. And the Huskies have a better division record at the moment. I got to see what their last game is, but they've already finished the division. They're 5-1 in the division. So if it ends in a tie, the Huskies would have an advantage there. They also have an advantage in conference record right now. They're one game better there also. So the Huskies have the right tiebreakers lined up. But if the Giants win out, they got it. But they're going to have to earn it. They're going to have to earn it. That Bucs game is not going to be easy, and it's damn sure not going to be easy going into Houston and playing them when they still have something to play for, a number one seed in the AFC. All right, so still two-team race in the NFC East. Nothing settled there. Winner takes the playoffs, losers out, most likely. NFC West, big game won by the Rams last night over the 49ers. That was for the division lead. The Rams sit now at 12-3, and the 49ers are 11-4. Looking at the tiebreakers there, the Rams own the tiebreakers on division record and conference record. It looks pretty solid that the 49ers are locked into the first wild card spot out of the NFC, barring a real miracle, considering the Rams have those tiebreakers on them. The Rams are still in the fight for a bye in the first round. Most likely the number 2 seed coming out the NFC. The Panthers pretty much have number 1 locked up. It's between them and the Vikings. And guess who play next week? Huge game. I mean, probably biggest game of the season. Rams and Vikings next advance. So they're going to be playing for the number 2 seed in the conference in a bye. Because Minnesota took a sim and lost to the Detroit Lions. And he came out and said that he would have beat the Lions. I mean, based on record, you would think so, but you never know. The Arizona Cardinals, 8-6. They have wild card hopes. We'll get to that in a minute. NFC North is already wrapped up. Minnesota Vikings, 11-3, have wrapped that up several weeks ago. Green Bay at 7-7 don't really have a wild card shot here. They would need a ton of help for that to happen. NFC South, like I said, Panthers have wrapped up the number 1 seed. They're going to get a force over the Cowboys this week. They finish up with the Detroit Lions. Personally, I think I may rest some guys in that game. I don't want to get anybody hurt going into the playoffs. It'd be my luck. Somebody like Cam is hurt going into that game, or going into the playoffs, excuse me. New Orleans Saints at 9-6. Good position for a wild card. Let's take a look at the wild card possibilities here. So we've got the 49ers at 11-4, got the number 1 wild card spot. Number 2 wild card spot. Right now, the Saints are in the catbird seat at 9-6. Cardinals at 8-6 have yet to play their game this week. The Cardinals are playing the Packers. All right, so if the Packers have any hopes of somehow getting into that discussion for the second wild card, they have to win out, and then they need help. They need the Saints to lose next week against their opponent, and I don't know who to. Let's see who they play next week. Saints are a very good team. I always have trouble against them. They run the ball first, and we know each other way too well now. So the Saints play the Ravens. That's going to be a hell of a game right there. Because both of those teams have a lot to play for. That game can go either way. So, Green Bay, I tell you, it would be a miracle. You need a lot to happen, but you hold the destiny in your hands by playing the Cardinals. If you play the Cardinals and win, you tie the Cardinals at 8-7, and then you'd have to win your game next week to have a shot. Because we all know this is Madden, and what the tiebreaker say in real life doesn't always happen. Tall task. The Packers play the 49ers week 17, so if you want a shot to get in it, you're going to have to earn it by beating 2 good teams there, the Cardinals and the 49ers. But NFC, top 3 teams. Panthers are number 1. We know that. Number 2 is going to come down between the Rams and Vikings. Whoever loses that game will be the number 3 seed and host the number 6 team, which could be the Saints, Cardinals, or the Packers. All right, those are the teams that have a shot at the wild card there. And then the 49ers will play the number 4 team, which will be the NFC East winner between the Giants and the Huskies. So, hey, there's still a lot to settle here, and we're in week 16. All right, let's take a look at the AFC. I hope I didn't lose you. I know that's a lot. At the top of the AFC right now, Portland Lumberjacks are 12-2 in the AFC East. They've got that wrapped up. That's a done deal. Jets at 8-6 have wild card hopes. We'll get to that in a second. Raiders 12-3, top of the AFC West. They got that locked up. Chargers at 8-6 have wild card hopes. We'll get to it in a second. Cleveland Browns 10-4, AFC North. That is not settled. The Ravens are behind them in 1 game at 9-5. Right now, the Browns are playing the new Falcons, and I'll tell you right now, that's a hell of a game. I'm sure it is, because the Falcons came in and played me for their first game, and they took me right down to the end. They had to take us a stop in the fourth quarter. They were down 3 with the ball, right outside of midfield, and we had to stop them before could have went overtime. So they're very good. Um, Bengals at 7-7. I think there's too many teams, but we'll look at their chances. AFC South. The Texans wrapped this one up. They had a sim a couple weeks ago with the Texans and Jaguars for supremacy, and the Texans won the sim by 2 points. And now, the Jags have lost a couple of tough games, and now that division's locked up to Houston. So, top seeds in the AFC. Houston right now is number 1 seed. Lumberjacks are number 2. Raiders are number 3. And winner of the AFC North will be the Browns or Ravens at number 4. All right. So right now the Raiders have been rooting for the Lumberjacks to lose. I don't see that happening, honestly. They've been probably the top team in the league all season. They've got the Bills this week, and let's take a look and see what they got next week. Little things will cooperate. And finish up with the Dragons. So the odds are that the Lumberjacks will be the number 2 seed in the league, in the AFC. I'm sorry. And then the Raiders are locked in at number 3, hosting the wild card game against the number 6 seed. And then a winner of the AFC North will be the number 4 seed and host the number 5 seed. And let's take a look at the wild card situation. So Jacksonville is pretty much locked in as the first wild card, number 5. So it looks like they will be playing the number 4 seed, the champ of the AFC North, whether it ends up being the Browns or the Ravens. Okay. So the second wild card is going to come from this group of teams that are all chasing Baltimore. Baltimore at 9-5 sits in the number 2 spot in the AFC right now. Behind them are the Jets at 8-6 and the Chargers at 8-6. Both of those guys don't say a lot in the chat, but the Chargers have quietly, won some tough games here. And their finishing schedule, I was looking at it on the game yesterday. I know it was something where I was looking at and I was thinking these guys could easily finish 10-6. And that's going to force the Ravens to really sweat going down the stretch here. Because the Chargers finish up with the Chiefs and then the Black Knights. And we just got a new Black Knights guy. Welcome to him and the new Broncos. I appreciate you guys being here, by the way. So the Chiefs were hot, but now Hundley is hurt, the quarterback, so it's going to be hard for them to win that game against San Diego. And then San Diego and the Black Knights. You figured San Diego, just be off a challenge, should win that one. So the Chargers, I think, are going to go 10-6. So the Ravens have the work cut out for them. They've got to win out. Because when it comes down to tiebreakers, I tell you, conference records are even across the board between the Ravens, Chargers, and Jets. Let's pull up the Ravens schedule and see what they're looking like here down the stretch. The Ravens play the Bengals this week. I hope the Bengals play. So there's been an issue going on there. And then week 17, like I said earlier, they're playing the Saints. So this could easily be a big cluster if the Ravens lose one game. Because I like the Chargers chances. And let's take a look at the Jets also. Now the Jets have got a couple of sims that go their way to kind of help them out here. But either way, they're still in it. Now, the Jets play the Vikings this week. That's going to be a tall task. And then they finish with the Jags. So, New York, if you're going to be 10-6, you're going to have to earn that shit. Because both of those guys are in the playoffs already. And very good teams. So, I really think it's down to the Ravens and the Chargers for this final wild card spot in the AFC. Don't think the Bengals are going to be in it. Chiefs were hot, but they just ran out of time. They were in a big hole. There'll be some really interesting playoff races here coming down the stretch. So to recap AFC, Number 1, Houston. Number 2, Portland Lumberjacks. Number 3, Oakland Raiders. Number 4, the winner of the AFC North between the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. Number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 6, between the Ravens and the Chargers, in my opinion. All right. So the Raiders would host the number 6, which would be the Ravens or the Chargers. The Raiders went on record saying they didn't want to see the Ravens in the first round. It looks like now if it ended today, that would be the matchup. And then the winner of the North, which is right now the Browns are leading the AFC North, would play the Jaguars in the first round, and that would be a hell of a game too. So good races in both conferences. I'm telling you, man, this is the most competitive I've seen it in Week 16 here in this league in a long time. So I've got like 3 minutes left, and I want to go through over Madden 17 since we have so many new people. What we did a little while ago is we had a draft of teams for Madden 17. So the guys that have been here a while, they already have their teams lined up for Madden 17. And here's what's going to happen, because we've had some people leave after that happened. I'm going to go through that process really quickly here. Madden 17 team list can be seen on the homepage of the Daddy League's website that we have. It's in our news reel down there. I think it's the third one down. So we have the list here. So anyone new that has joined, I put you at the bottom in a waiver order. Alright? And it's based on when you join the league. When we open this up again, which will be a lot closer to Madden 17, according to this waiver order, you will have a choice of the open teams that are available. So we've had 5 new guys join: Packers, Steelers, Seahawks, Broncos, and Black Knights. Of course, there are 5 openings. Open teams right now are the Seahawks, Packers, Dolphins, Eagles, and 49ers for Madden 17. Alright, so based on the waiver order, after we have a reverse waiver draft of people that want to switch. Okay? You guys will be able to choose from the open teams after that process. So what I mean is, any team that's open right now, the guys that have chosen teams already have the first right to switch from the team that they currently have to one of the open teams. So basically, starting with S. Gandotra of the Lions, who right now has the New England Patriots for 17. He can choose to stick with them or switch to one of the open teams that are listed. And then we go in reverse order from the original draft. And if nobody wants to switch, then we go to the waiver order, and then you'll be able to choose from the open teams. It sounds confusing as hell, but trust me, it's very easy. And that process will happen probably second week of August when we finish up our final season, or we'll be close to the end of the final season. And then we'll start that process, and that'll give us something to do while we wait on the Madden 17 release. And then what I'll do is I'll do some analysis of what the new divisions will be, and who I like, and all that good stuff. And by then we should have full rosters for Madden 17, and we'll be really starting that stuff up in second week of August. And then when 17 comes out, we won't immediately start the league because we always have issues with the game. You guys know how Madden is. So once the first patch hits, that's when we'll start the league. And it's roughly 2 to 3 weeks after release. Alright. So that's where we are with Madden 17. Anyone new that's joined the league, make sure you go over the rules. I know you guys that just joined did read the rules and you agreed with them. I think they're pretty straightforward. Issues, send them to me or one of the commissions in DM. Commissions are myself, Lumberjacks, Rams, and Ravens. I don't like a bunch of stuff in the main chat. That's just a pet peeve of mine. I think that just creates issues that don't need to be in the main chat. If you have an issue with somebody, talk to them in DM. If you can't resolve it, then you bring it to one of the commissioners. One of the things I like to say is it's a professional man's league. All right, we have young guys in here, but they're mature. Um, it's a good group. We're a family. Those of us that have been here a long time, you know, we all go through things. I went through the loss of my dad in January, and you guys, helped me through that. I always appreciate that. That's why we go out and we do these extra things for the league, and there's more stuff coming. If you have ideas, please feel free to let me know. I'm open to doing, almost anything within reason, except freestyling on this music. As somebody asked me to do last week, that will never happen because I have no skills at all. But for those of you that watched, I appreciate it. The podcast will be up. Oh gosh, I'll shoot for today. Maybe I can squeeze it in before tonight. But yeah, that's where we stand right now. Good luck this week if you haven't played. Good luck in week 17. Next week, of course, we'll be talking playoffs. We'll be talking awards. All the awards will be done in the league. And we'll pull those off the PS4 and we'll talk about those. Be an hour show next week. So get ready. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.